They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right, team. Welcome to the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I am Josh, and I'm here with Jason Grubb, whom many of you know, five-time Masters CrossFit Game champion, also a five-time Legends champion. And I'm also here with Joe Linton, who is co-founder and director of the Legends Championship. And Joe, we'll get into more of your responsibilities, but one of them is growth and partnerships, which is one of the things we're here to talk about, actually. So let's get right to the main thing that we're going to dig into today, which is, Jason, why don't you take it away and share the news?
Yeah, we're pretty stoked, and if you haven't heard by now, the Boulder Athlete is the title and programming sponsor for the Legends Championship, which is a huge thing for us. I've been a huge fan of the Legends Championship since 2020 was my first year, and not being able to go to the CrossFit Games that year due to COVID, there was no Masters Games. Legends was there, and I just threw my hat in the ring in a qualifier because, some friends said, hey, you should try this Legends. It's a great comp. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And went out there and that Legends was a battle, I think, for the organizers for sure to make this thing happen during COVID, outdoors. The audience had to stand in certain circles that were 6 feet apart, but they made a championship for us in the most amazing way. So to take that experience and then parlay that forward over another four additional years of competing, it just made sense. Such a premier Masters competition. Honestly, needed a sponsor that loves and invests in Masters athletes. We felt like it was a perfect fit, and so super stoked. Obviously, I'm happy, very excited to be a part of it. That's it. Boulder Athlete Legends Championship.
Just rolls off the tongue. It's really
so good.
It is beautiful. Joe, I'd love your take on this, man. We're obviously pretty stoked about it, but how are you feeling?
I feel great about it. I know, firsthand, obviously, what it takes and how much work it is to service the Masters community solely with, CrossFit competitions. And so to pair up with the, like-minded people that are serving the Masters community just seemed like the perfect fit for me and Legends. I know how hard you guys work. I know the dedication to the community and to your craft, and getting to know Jason over the years as a competitor. And then seeing the business side and the dedication and grind that he has done along with you and the rest of the team at Boulder. It's something that we want to work with, and we want to be around those type of people. It helps push us to create a better championship for people, create a better experience. Bob and myself for years have collaborated with many people with programming and sought ideas, stole stuff from other competitions. Like, oh, that was really cool. Let's do that. Let's do it better. So with pairing up with Boulder, which again, serves the Masters community as a business, but then with Jason and his experience as an athlete going through six between 5 Legends and 1 Games as us as the programmers. So now to take all that experience and have that help create a different, unique experience for the 2025 championship in Arizona, it just seemed like a really cool, awesome experience to give everyone. And it's I already have a bunch of ideas on not necessarily exact workouts, but how to work together, how to bounce ideas off each other. And I'm really excited about what's to come and, make it exciting. How are we going to release it? Instagram teasers and whatnot. really, let people experience a higher level uh, championship workout, group of workouts. So very excited and yeah, just stoked to get started.
Heck yeah, I know we are very excited to get started as well. Like I'm coming at this from a kind of a unique perspective, honestly, in that I've never done Legends. And I've been now with Boulder, I don't know how many months I've been part of the team. I think about 7 months or so, 8 months, something like that. But, it's very clear to me what our values are and where we are invested and the way that we are approaching that. And I've heard about Legends for years and years and years, always with such high regard. People that would have done it spoke so highly about it, not only about the program itself, but just like the structure, the format, the style of the work, all the things. It was always like this is the elite comp. So it's been on my radar for a long time, but didn't carry the same relevance as it does today. Now that I'm a part of the Boulder team, and we're thinking about how do we continue to grow. And I know some of the conversations that took place amongst Jason and myself and Aaron and Adam, but I'd love, for you guys to share some perspective on the conversations, the early conversations that you had. Like, Joe, how did this get onto your radar as a possibility? Like, what if? Like, how did that come to be?
So for many years, I've always thought that this is the ideal partnership for the type of business that Boulder is. And I've tried this with other companies. It didn't really work. And I think because they serviced maybe just the big wide range of athletes, not master specific. Um, I think it's very difficult to program for masters. That's why I think that you guys have built such a large, dedicated following. So when Jason and Boulder agreed to be a huge part of the age group games in Columbus coming up in August, um, that's when I saw, I'm like, all right, well, they definitely want growth. They want to continue to make a splash in the Masters community, continue to show the Masters community how dedicated they are by showing up big at the age group games. So, in knowing that the partnership side of Legends, I was changing everything from previous years, and knowing that this was an opportunity that I didn't tell anybody about yet. So I didn't approach any other companies, and um, I mentioned it to Jason, I think through text, and he was stoked about it. And I was like, all right, cool, because I think this is a huge opportunity for Boulder. I think it's a huge opportunity for us. And I was excited to, get that excitement back from him because that means that we're both going to, work hard at it and maximize it because I was excited. I couldn't wait to like find the Jason, the Boulder, that partnership for Legends. And so again, when he came in big for the age group games, which you guys are going to be there huge, that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this is right up their alley. I really hope they take it. So it was that moment.
That's awesome. Jason, give me your scoop on this, man.
Yeah, I mean, um, it's for us uh, as a newer business. We're very careful about how we use our capital and what we invest in. So, it takes a number of internal meetings that we have to make sure that we can invest what we want to invest, both time and resources, finances into something like the CrossFit Games or the age group games, right? That was a huge investment. And then certainly, definitely, honestly, when Joe mentioned to me, I think via text, like, "Hey, what do you think about Legends? You think about doing something big at Legends?" I was a little nervous. I was like, "This is two huge pieces that we do this year. Like, this is a huge investment, huge opportunity." Uh, and actually, that I've got this tattoo right in the middle of my chest, right? I forget that it's there, but it is this line that says, every major decision is a balance between danger and opportunity. And that's what this felt like, honestly, when Joe even mentioned it via text. I think I got nervous. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it to the team, like, "Hey, guys, what if
Yeah.
we went big at Legends? What if we did that too?" And then we had our first meeting with Joe, and it went so well that it was almost a done deal at the end of that. We were just sort of waiting on Joe was working on, still putting things together that made sense for him to have to present to us, a kind of what he was finalizing. But we were pretty much a go from probably the first 10 minutes of talking with Joe. And, the only potential hangup for me was when I realized that if we are the programming sponsor, I can't compete. And I was like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't do it. The competitor in me wants to compete so badly. And it's been historically such a challenging competition. The tests are meaningful. They're appropriate for masters athletes. And I don't think anyone has the accuracy for programming for masters athletes that Joe and Bob have had historically at Legends and then at the games this year. It's just they match what masters need to be tested on so well that it's like my favorite time to get tested, in the middle of winter. And so that was the only thing. Was I realized, okay, I can't compete. All right, I can step aside. But on the other hand, of course, I can test all of these workouts. I can be a part of helping create them. And I think of that, how special that is. That I think of, like, when Dave Castro sometimes teases something about someone testing the workout, he's showing someone else's sweat, dripping on the floor, and they're breathing hard because they just finished a test. And I actually get to help craft the event and test them. And that's just really exciting. I think there's that's going to fill my cup. So that FOMO, I'm going to have done the workouts multiple times by the time they reach that competition floor. I'm done with it by the time it's there. Now I just want to see what everyone else can do. So yeah, that's what it's been like for me.
That's cool. I remember pretty vividly when Jason, after you guys had spoken, we're talking as a team. He's like, "Hey guys, what would you think?" And I know my reaction, and I was still kind of a little bit newbie on the team. I didn't want to come out too hot, but I'm like, holy crap, yes, this is the right thing. It's just the values are so strongly aligned, the mission is so strongly aligned. Unless somebody knows something I don't know, we have to do this. That was my kind of initial reaction. And then, I was waiting a little bit. What's Adam? Adam, what do you think? Aaron, what are your thoughts? And, it didn't take them 2 seconds either. They were totally in. So spiritually, as a Boulder team, we were so aligned that this is something we wanted to do. You're almost afraid to get too excited about it because you just never know with partnerships and, getting that across the finish line. And Joe, the more like research that I've done around Legends, again, I've never done it myself, so I'm observing through others, hearing through others, looking online, reading what I can. But some of the things that I've seen you say are so relevant to the way that we're approaching our mission, which is like putting Masters center stage, really trying to help create visibility and demonstrate the appreciation for this group of athletes. They're incredible athletes. They're sacrificing a ton, but naturally, we're kind of like second-class citizens almost relative to the elites. And I don't think anybody's complaining about that because the elites are pretty incredible, but gosh, there is still a place for this group of masters athletes to really shine and have a platform to showcase all of their abilities. I feel wholeheartedly like Legends Championship and you and Bob are invested in that same way.
Absolutely. Masters athletes, they're incredible. They're inspiring. A lot of people look up to them, in their gyms. There's I would say in your average gym, there's 1 to 2 that are, that elite masters athlete, because it's very difficult to maintain the training volume and, maintain all the moves that you need to master as you get older. When we put these events together and, when we figure out how do we make them bigger, how do we give more of a spotlight and also not lose money. So there is a budget. We are every single year we strive to get better at it. And so one of those things, like the Legends Championship, is partnering with Boulder. It is a position that is great for Boulder. It's great for Legends. It's great for everyone that's going to be a part of it. Another one is providing, increasing the spectator ticket value, which is something that we've slowly been doing. And for this year, starting with the age group games, and same thing for Legends Championship, increasing the spectator ticket value, because we do know that Masters athletes, you don't have a lot of fans. Let's just say it. You're not going to have hundreds of people flying in from around the world to see one athlete. It's going to be friends and family. So how do we maximize the friends and family experience? And so with that, you're going to create a huge, awesome atmosphere off the competition floor. So like the age group games, we have, I think we emailed all the athletes today, if I'm correct. If not, it'll come soon. But we're doing a whole kid zone, which we're going to replicate at Legends Championship. Face painting, bounce houses, obstacle course, intro to CrossFit Kids courses, bunch of stuff like that. But I mean, so with that, with Boulder Athlete being title sponsor, programming sponsor, and me doing all the work and partnerships to increase the spectator ticket value, it elevates Boulder Athlete's presence and its brand as well. So it's my job as event director, head judge, and so on and so on, to do all that stuff, because I do want Boulder Athlete to get an ROI. Whatever ROI you have dreamed up and you want, that's my job to help you get there. Because with that comes a better spectator and athlete experience. That means that we're going to pull more people every year, every single competition we host, which is going to attract more sponsors and vendors, which gives us a bigger budget, and then just keeps rolling down the hill until we have that $1 million live stream again. So
I mean, the things that you're saying, you're basically saying you're investing in the people that are investing in you. That's what I'm hearing, and I'm biased towards that statement because that is our mission at Boulder. But you're saying you're investing in the spectators because they're invested in getting there, buying a ticket. They want an experience. You're invested in them. And the athletes, naturally, they've sacrificed a ton to get there, and they're also paying to be there. And so you want to make sure they have a fantastic experience. And if you do that well, the business wins, the event wins, the people that are participating in the experience wins. Everybody walks away, winning. And that's really a great thing. And so we believe in that completely. And yeah, I think once again, this is like the perfect marriage is kind of how I keep stating it in my mind. It just feels too good not to do. And so hence the excitement that we've actually got it across the finish line. Now we got to go execute it.
Yeah. And just, just the work we've done, through texts and emails on the announcements. We got a couple more socials and stuff coming out soon. But I mean, even just the work back and forth that Jason, Aaron Bewley, and yourself, Josh, is what I've been looking for. It's like not only on me to come up with a social announcement, email blast, stuff that goes out to the media, news outlets. It's not just on me to craft all those. There's it's that partnership we're working together on. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Good, because I want to see what you want it to read like, how you want it to be presented, because that means it's important to you. I'm like, all right, cool. And that makes me work harder. So again, like I'm feeling the true partnership. And so it's already starting off fantastic. And I can't wait to see what happens at the championship.
Well said. Jason, I got a question for you, and it really builds on this. But like, Joe, you just said, you're feeling like it's off to a great start, which we absolutely love to hear. And I know that we feel the same. I can't help but fast forward to like, yeah, this year's going to be amazing. Like I'm counting on that because I know how hard we will work to make that the truth. As we think beyond this year to next year, and the following year, and the following year, like Jason, I'm curious to get your vision. Then Joe, I'd love to get yours as well. Like, hey, 5 years from now, what does this partnership look like? 10 years from now, what does it look like? Like, what is the big, bold vision? Well, it's easy to get caught up in the things we need to execute right now. I'd love for you to share for those that are watching, like, what's the big vision even beyond this year and in the years to come?
Well, I think from my perspective, one of the things that always makes me nervous about our sport is the longevity of the company CrossFit, actually, right? So there's this just sense that like there's the fact that masters athletes and age group athletes in the sport of CrossFit, they don't, although I do believe we generate a significant amount of income for CrossFit HQ even from a sport specific, just the amount of athletes there are. it's, it always feels uncertain. There's always a lot of change happening at CrossFit HQ. And this is my sport. I'm good at like a couple of things in life. And this is one of those things I'm really good at. And I want to see a rock solid future here. And I can't necessarily bank all of that on CrossFit. I mean, I hope CrossFit succeeds. I want it to succeed. I want there to be a CrossFit Games for Masters athletes 10 years from now. And in 10 years, it'll be just so much better. I love that. But I see, and I think that will happen. But I also have always seen Legends as a bit of stability. Like if there's no CrossFit Games for Masters athletes, there's Legends, and Legends is that competition. And that's just been something that in my mind, like I always have a plan B in my head, just kind of one of those guys like, well, if I can't do this, well, then I'm just, we will have Legends Championship in 5 or 10 years. And each year, I've seen it grow. I've seen the team at Legends make improvements year after year. My experience is better each year. And I'm not complaining about any of the experiences in the early years. I know Joe would have some, he had some fun stories about mishaps, this and that. But as a competitor, I never knew any of that. I just go and it's as if it's just this smooth running ship. I don't know anything that's going on in the background. I'm just there to compete. And so Legends has always been rock solid. And that's what I've seen, or that's what I hope to see and continue to see 5-10 years from now, is like, this is a sport. This iteration of this is for Masters athletes. I have more faith that this will be here in 5 to 10 years than some other platforms where we can compete. And so that's what I've always kind of looked at Legends for. Like they're just the rock. I can just count on that competition happening.
Joe, you've spent obviously the most time thinking and dreaming about what could be and how this thing has evolved. And by the way, I do want to go a little bit into like the journey from the inception of Legends to where it is now and some of those milestones. But before we go there, what is some of like the big, bold vision that you have as you've been, developing and raising this baby?
So, I mean, Legends is obviously very special. Many, many tough years. A few years you're doing it and you're just like, man, can we keep doing it like this? And the answer was no. Like, we can't keep operating like we did in 2021, 2020, 2019. Like, it was really tough. Bob and I literally did everything in those first years. We were scorekeeping, we were sending all the emails, we were emceeing, we were judging, we were operating the clock. It was insane. And so developing the team and finding those people over the course of the years, and also like learning how to work with those people, because letting go of certain big things was difficult for us in the beginning, but also like, teaching them how we operate, how we want things done, because, Bob and I, we think very alike. We can kind of read each other's minds, and we sort of will like send an email and expect them to get it. And I'm like, that didn't happen at all. And we didn't explain it. We explained it terribly. So it was, developing the ability to find the people, find the position, and making the competition successful enough to be able to open up job opportunities for those people. Like, this past year at Legends, we paid triple the amount of people than we did from 2023. So in 2024, I was able to pay people, that were volunteers for years, pay them to be there, fly them out, hotel. Like, it's you're taking vacation time, but you're going to make, a good amount of money, and then you're going to get a free flight and hotel. And be able to triple that from 23 to 24 was huge. That felt very good, because for me, it's not just about the athletes too. It's about everyone there that's experienced it. Like we talked about spectators, it's also about the volunteers. I mean, they're super dedicated to this competition and other competitions. So for the future, it's continuing to be able to provide those opportunities for people to come, make a little bit of money, have a great time, give them leadership opportunities that they then could go land a head judge position at another big comp, at Rogue, at Wadapalooza, at whatever it may be, to like increase their resume. Couple specific things. I want to bring back a live stream. of some caliber. You know, in years past, it wasn't exactly possible due to, low sponsorship, but through many years of refining the process and finding the savings, it's going to be possible in December. And I would say for Legends Championship, 100% possible in 26. I can say that. And I think that I'm very confident we can pull it off for 25 this year. So that's a big thing, is to get a live stream back. Now it won't look like the $250,000 live stream that we did in San Diego, or even like Mayhem, but it will be a live stream. There's many different people out there doing many different types of live stream that is affordable. So taking the time to research those, get those done, get those conversations going to figure that out, because I want to get one back. It'll be amazing. Another big one is making the move. I want to make the move out of Arizona. I want to go somewhere else. I want to switch it up. For many years, Bob and I talked about, Legends Championship being a traveling competition. Now in December, it makes it tough because you definitely want to be somewhere warm. California is a huge possibility. It's a great, spot to be in December. But there's also many other areas of the country that are pretty warm that I am having conversations with, even this week for 26. So, but those, once those conversations develop further, Jason and I will talk about it, and I want his feedback as well, because, selecting a host city is important, and we can talk through all the ins and outs of that, because it's much more than just choosing a destination city. It's, is the city invested in your competition as well? Much like Columbus is for the age group games. They're highly invested. They want it to be successful, and there's a lot of support. So it's finding that city that has that tourism board, those employees, those organizations that are there to help help your event be successful, because they want you to come back. They're not just, oh, cool, pay us a rental fee and good luck. They want to provide all the information possible to help you advertise your competition, find a great venue. If you want to do special events, hooking you up with the appropriate organizations. So in summing up, I would say live stream, new city, and those are the two big ones, I think. And we want Boulder involved for as long as they want to be. So I think it's going to be much more than just 1 year. I think it's going to be, years to come.
Jason and I both love hearing you say that, and I can speak for both of us when I say, like, heck yes, we're in. And what's been really cool for me, getting to be part of this Boulder team, getting to know Jason, getting to know Aaron and Adam, like on a personal level, phenomenal guys, which I love that. And that's such icing on the cake when you're talking about business partners. You don't have to like your business partners, but man, it helps. These are really, really good men, but to also see their work ethic and their drive and their vision and the way that they communicate and the way that we brainstorm and bounce ideas off of each other and acknowledge each other. There is just such a healthy dynamic there. And I work in a big corporate environment where that doesn't always exist. And when it does, boy, you're glad to have it. And when it doesn't, that you just got to kind of navigate, with gloves. But man, it's been so refreshing to work with Jason, Adam, and Aaron, and our values are so tightly aligned. So I think, I can say with total confidence, that's what you'll experience as well. Like, you're going to get a lot of that. And it sounds like that's the kind of partnership that you're looking for, which again speaks to back, like, man, there's just a lot of goodness here. A lot of, it just feels like a really good fit. And, I've had very limited interaction with you, Joe, a little bit at the games. It was very little last year. I'm getting a sense from you as well. And man, it just feels very authentic. And it does feel like we're kind of destined to do some pretty cool stuff together.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about, the programming is awesome, that having that opportunity to work together, but there's going to be other stuff out there that's great to collaborate on. Athlete check-in, athlete briefings. You've gone through many of my, check-ins and briefings, and you've done other ones at other competitions. And so, like, cool, hey, how can we make that better? like from the initial emails of like, hey, you've qualified for the Legends Championship, to you going home after the competition, where are some areas that we can improve? And let's see if we can put it together, make improvements, and let's see how much we can do, because it's much more than just like, here are the workouts. Like, I'm going to be asking those questions. I don't know if Jason expected that, but I will be. But so it's like, cool, like, as an athlete, what would you like to see? What would you like to see in your athlete kit? What's something that is small and meaningful that not a lot of comps do, that is, you saw one comp do, and it's something you hold on to as a memory, because that's what we want to create. We just don't want to give you some shirts and some shorts and some good workouts. It's like, we want to help create memories. And so, how can we do that? Because I think that's what ultimately is going to be, make the biggest impact, and want people to come back, make it exciting, and overall, again, increase the number of people that are going, watching, competing, trying to be there. I think that's where it's at. So it's going to be much more than just like putting some workouts together. It's going to be putting a whole competition together.
And we agree. That's, we approach Boulder Athlete in that same way, that it's more than just delivering workouts, more than just delivering a training program. It is trying to create that community experience in what we're doing with our athletes. And I feel that same way about the competition side of things, that it is an experience to go to battle for 4 days. It's not just workouts. It's especially at a Masters competition, you're going to create friendships. You're going to see guys that you see every year there. I mean, I can think of a handful of guys I only see at Legends, and I'm friends with them while we're at Legends, right? And it's just, I'll see you next year, and they're always there. I'm always there. So there's that entire experience of being at the competition, and you get to work out. That's a huge bonus. That's a big piece of it. That's a bonus. But a lot of it is that experience on check-in, that experience of being even up in the athlete area and having all of those friendships develop. The warm-up area, and when you're cooling down afterwards and you're just talking about how ridiculous that workout was. These are some of the best memories I have, when you're in the warm-up area and you're nervous, and everyone's nervous. We're all warming up way too much. And then, getting out there on the floor, and then all walking off together. There's just, I don't know, that camaraderie of being able to battle together is something that's such an honor and a privilege to be able to do as a Masters athlete. There's not a lot of sports where we get to do this, that we get to give 4 days of our lives with, just a few minutes of suffering here and there, but really to go out to battle, to test ourselves, and be able to do that amongst friends. And that's kind of the experience that I've had at Legends, and I certainly see us continuing that. And yeah, Joe, I'm more than happy to provide all the feedback on that journey. We've talked about that in the past, even, and you've been really great, even after historical competitions, Legends and the games. You've been great to ask for feedback. Hey, what could we have done better? What are just a couple of things, right? And we've always been able to talk about those very tangible little things that make you feel incredibly special as an athlete. And it's we don't need a red carpet and paparazzi or media crews all around us. There's just a handful of things that, as Masters athletes, man, that feels good. And I know that you're aligned on those things, which is really cool. So, I've known you a number of years. I trust you, and happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and it's doing the sport, putting this together for athletes like yourself. You're gonna experience how different it is from other sports. If you put a volleyball tournament together, it's up to the athletes. It's like, you go win or you go lose. But this is more of like, you're gonna, you get judged on your programming. It's kind of like you kind of control a lot of what the athletes are going to experience, where other sports, it's up to the teams. Like my son and I, we just went through an all-star tournament. He's only 6, and it was 2 weeks. It was insane. But it's like, I was looking at it from an organizational standpoint, like, oh, this is a lot. But like, once the game's rolling, it's up to the players. Like, are you going to hit? Are you going to miss that throw? Or it's not really like, you get the right baseballs out there and the bases are lined up and everything's good. And you have an ump, and it's up to the players at that point. Their job's kind of done, but it's like, no, at doing your programming for CrossFit, it's like, all right, well, people are going to be talking about your workouts. They're going to say they suck. You're not going to make everyone happy. They're going to, there's a lot of people are going to praise them and be like, oh my gosh, it's so terrible. Or, and it was so fun. And it's just kind of like, all right, it's a different sport to be a part of. And so when you start to be like part of the organizational team, it's like, yeah, it's a lot. You'll see feedback all the way from volunteer stuff to athletes to coaches to media. Um, so but you see how much more people you service than just the athletes. Like, I've had volunteers come up and tell me like this was a life-changing experience for them. And they volunteered for 4 days. I'm like, really? And so, like, yeah, they're like, yeah, just because the masters community is so grateful, they're so happy, they're so stoked to be there, and they came in, judged for 2 days, and decided to judge for all 4 days, and now they've been a judge for 5 years. I got a handful of people like that, to where now it's part of their thing because it's so inspiring and fun to be a part of. And so, Jason, like, you get, and Josh, the whole Boulder team's going to see, like, you see this whole other side of what you're doing and who you're servicing. And it's not just athletes. It's a lot more people than that, and it's really fun.
I can say I can agree with that. I've say friends now that were judges from the early days of Legends, that just over time have seen them every year, seen them at various comps, but started at Legends because I shook their hand when I went out there on the floor, and now I see Andrew at every at every competition, right? Or I see Dave, Hardy, and these relationships are really fun to build, and other volunteers that are there that now we're sending messages on a regular basis, just because we spent so much time in the combine, if I want to think of it that way, in the grinder, in a good way. So that's also very cool that it is, ideally a great experience for the volunteers, but for the athletes, we get to interact with volunteers and get to create those relationships as well. And it's great to see. It's great to walk out on the floor and see a judge that you've seen before. There's just some recognition of like, hey, good to see you again. Okay, so we got to go over the line and up over the box and then on the pull apart. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's do this thing. We're in it together. I don't know. The judges, they're in it. We're in it. We're all in this thing to have some fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
And feeling like we are in this thing together as well is a really cool, comforting, exciting, inspiring, energizing. Like, you add your adjective here, it is that. Joe, the thing that I'm hearing you say that I know resonates with both Jason and I is like, you're thinking about this much more holistically than, hey, I need to make sure that the things that we write down on paper that athletes are going to go do for a workout, it's way beyond that. You're thinking end-to-end experience, and that the experience really starts, from the first opportunity to register for qualifier. And then it concludes when the event is done and you're getting emails asking about your experience. And there's 1,000 moments, interactions with the athletes and spectators and volunteers that happen between those two moments. And you're accounting, or you're doing your very best to account for every single one of those opportunities, because it can either go right or it can go sideways. And that's going to shape the experience for somebody. And so how do we get that right? And then what's really comforting is you've got years and years and years of this under your belt already. And so you've seen, hey, what works, what doesn't work. We've had tremendous success here and opportunities for growth. We've had total failure there. We need to rethink that thing. And you've got just so many of those moments now under your belt that has made Legends what it is. And you can't be where Legends is without having gone through all of that. Anybody that's trying to start a competition from scratch, like you guys did, is going to experience those. There's no way to just bypass all the adversity that comes with it. So you've done and you've experienced a lot of that adversity. It doesn't mean to say there won't be adversity in the days ahead. I'm looking forward to taking that on as a team. But the fact that you've experienced so much already adds to the confidence that I think Jason, myself, Adam, and Aaron have in this partnership, because, man, you've just developed so much maturity and wisdom through the tough times that you've already gone through and the successes that you've had, and we get to help build on that. That's, I think, especially exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, after doing this for many years, you know your big buckets of what you need to take care of, what needs to be buttoned up early, and what, the timelines around all that stuff. Once you develop your system, getting those taken care of, it frees up all the time for the creativity and to do the extra special small things, which
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to having equipment, which is very important, or barricades or forklifts or whatever, like all that, let's call it crap, not the equipment. Rep Fitness is amazing, but all that stuff, right? That really takes up a ton of time. And so if you're working each day and all this stuff, and then you start to have less creative time to put towards those ideas that you had during a workout, driving, or whatever that you jot down. I have notebooks and notebooks of this stuff, that just never got the time to get to. And the more, all that experience that we've had, me and my Legends team, is like, cool, all that stuff is taken care of. We're like, what do you need? It's taken care of. Here's our system. Here's how we do it. Here's the person in charge. Here's the calendar, the deadlines of all the communication. What can we add to it? Okay, hey, we had an idea to do this. Jason, what do you think? Boulder team, what do you think? Talk through that. You guys come with ideas, all the extra stuff, which is going to elevate the competition. And that's where the fun is. And so it's using our experience that we've had. We're going into our 9th year at the Legends Championship.
I was just going to ask that very question.
Yeah, 9th year, 2025. 2026 will be the 10th, which, that's going to be a huge year. We're already putting some big ideas into that. So, but it's using all that experience that we've had for years to now teaming up with you guys, do all the extra special stuff. All that creativity is where good ideas come from, new stuff, changing the game, whatever it may be. We're here for it, and we're excited to have you guys helping create all that stuff.
So cool. I'm ready to roll up the sleeves and get rocking and rolling here.
I will say that I've done 2 of the 4 qualifiers. The qualifiers are live right now. And it was very much fun being able to review the qualifiers, offer a little bit of feedback, and then have that feedback confirmed on one of them. Joe was like, yeah, that's how I originally wanted to do that one. I was like, oh, right. Our brains are just thinking the same way.
Yeah.
And I've since done that workout that had that slight change in it. And man, these workouts are always special. The Legends qualifiers are always just dead on, incredibly challenging tests from 2020 when I first did them. And as I looked at them back then, I remember thinking, man, I've been doing these in my garage because it was COVID year. I mean, I was doing walking lunges in an alley behind my garage, and then doing squat cleans in said alley in the middle of no, it was summer then. And then now you're 5 years later, and I got to see them and test these qualifiers. And the other thing that's really tricky for me is that I don't need to qualify because I'm not competing. So I'm just doing these for fun. And Joe, they're leaving me laying on the floor, gasping. I'm just going to say this one, just since I'm on it. And anyone who's listening that has done these workouts, the lunge bar muscle up workout was probably my favorite. That's the one I did first. I thought, on paper, I love bar muscle ups. It's 60 feet of walking lunges, dumbbells in a front rack position, into 7 bar muscle ups, and you do 7 rounds. So 49 bar muscle ups, 420 feet of walking lunges. This is perfect. We do so many walking lunges in Boulder. 49 bar muscle ups is what we eat for breakfast. This is no big deal. And then at round 4 happened, and then round 5 happened. And at round 5, my pace, my artificial pace that I had in my head just fell apart. And I'm really good at pacing these kinds of things, Joe. It starts to fall apart. Round 6, I've got my hands on my knees multiple times, which I would never do. And then round 7, if I could just get done with round 7, I can lay down and die. And that's exactly what I did. And I loved every minute of it. I love it. I love the idea. I love the push-pull. Yeah, I did it at altitude, so that was a little bit of a handicap. But besides that, it was such a beautiful test. And the other tests are all good. That's just the one that had a bite to it that I should have anticipated. I should have known. But but round 5, 6 punched me in the face, even though other people told me that it would. I was like, nah, no, I got this. It's fine. So Joe, I do appreciate how you write even the qualifiers to make sure that you are qualifying for a top tier competition when you qualify for Legends. But you have to go through these qualifiers, which are not like playing patty cake. Like
Mhm.
these qualifiers are legit. In fact, like I've this is a deload week for Boulder athletes. I'm trying to encourage athletes not to do the qualifiers this week. It's too much. Save it for next week when we get back on track, and there's still plenty of time. But the qualifiers are great, man. I love them. I know Josh has done at least one of them, and he texted me and he was all not upset. He was like, okay, well, I thought I would do better. I got back from camping and this thing just killed me. And I was just, I'm delighted like when I hear things like that. So it's fun. We have till July 20th to tell me if I'm correct, Joe, till July 20th to submit scores. And if you intend to qualify for Legends, you need to have a video. All of that is in the scorecards. If you just download the score sheets, do the rules, you'll see everything you need in there on how to hold your dumbbells to how to do your burpees. It's all there. How to set up an optional camera if you are filming this. It's not hard. I actually filmed them on the WeTime app on my phone. It didn't have a tripod, so I did the old school. I sandwiched my phone between two dumbbells on a box,
Oh yeah.
and I have them. It's no big deal. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, the workouts, over the course of doing many years of this now, there's many factors. Like you do need to test, you have the appropriate test to find the people that deserve to be there. But you also, this year, a big one was just kind of moving the qualifier earlier in the year than we have in the past. Typically, they become after the Masters Games or the CrossFit Games. Um, Experiencing that last year and the strain it put on my team to get the video process done, and the team extends to the apparel sponsor to ship the correct appropriate items after registration, so we get all the correct sizing, and then to get it printed, and then to get it to Arizona. Um, every single system was strained. I'm like, well, that can't happen again. And so I spent 90 minutes in like January looking up every possible competition and online qualifier I could find in the world with some help of, Barbell Spin and some other websites. But
Yep.
then I found July. I'm like, cool, there's nothing else, not much else going on right now. And so popped it in there, decreased it to 4 workouts, also factoring in I can get the people I need to in 4 workouts. I don't need 6. Making sure that the stuff being done, the movements can be done in basically every garage gym out there. That's a big goal.
Mhm.
Didn't do rope climbs. Don't need to test rope climbs in an online qualifier this year. Test them at the championship. Don't need to do this and this. Test them at the championship. We're going to find the right people. And these workouts, like I told my wife, they're simple. They are. It's just,
Mhm.
they're not complicated, which I wanted because one, it makes it easy on my video review team. They're busy. They got other stuff going on. So I'm like, all right, cool. So it's like, how do we make it simple? And then the workouts I love, go back to that bar muscle up and lunge workout. Again, the hold, not exactly a push, but it's kind of a push. You are supporting weight and you are driving into it the entire time. 15-foot turnarounds just to see, to be able to shrink that camera view and not 20, 25 feet, which makes you have the camera way across the gym or outside your garage. Um, then the 60-foot, I found that to be a good distance to where most people that are going to qualify are going to want to do unbroken. I figure if it was 80 or 100, you're going to start breaking it up. So I wanted people to hold it the entire time, which I think most people would hold 60 feet. You're accustomed to doing 50 probably, 25 out, 25 back. That's how my gym was set up. So you're going to be going an extra 10 feet each time, and that's going to add up. Workout one, workout one, row and burpees. It's just a gut check. You know, it is a big guy workout ish, but with the 30 calories at a time. But then you go into, can you still lift 3 snatches essentially in a row? Can you still perform? Is your midline still intact? How are your shoulders feeling after all those burpees? What's that going to look like? Deadlift and
Wall
toes to
ball.
bar,
Toes to
wall
bar.
ball.
Yep.
Great combo. I've done in my own training and, when I was coaching and programming, many combinations of those three just because it's just a great combo, which I love. It's a simple gymnastics movement, but can easily be disrupted by taxing the core under a moderate weight at moderate volume. 185 isn't going to blow anyone out, blow any backs out. But is going unbroken what you want to do? Because even though it's 185, it's still going to add up, So, and what work am I missing? Is that 4?
That was workout 2. Workout 3 is the only one you're missing.
That is
Workout
the
3.
wall walks.
Wall
Sorry,
walks. Yes.
hang snatches, wall walks, and double unders.
Yes. Dumbbell hang snatch. I like holding on to it the entire time. The wall walks, I wanted to incorporate those incorporate inversion without doing handstand walks. Again, I can save that for a championship. That kind of goes to video review. It gets nasty on videos when people are trying to do in their gyms and you can't see. It's like you need a judge right there to be able to see if your hand got across each line. So not wanting to do handstand push-up and going wall walks, also testing out with the older age groups. An improvement that I saw from what CrossFit did in the semifinals. With the older age groups, they had to just simply kind of move their hands a little bit. And I was like, well, what would be a good distance to where those people, those 60 plus that have been working on wall walks, they can get to that distance and not have to go all the way to 10 inches. And so 30 inches is where I landed. And I'm getting good feedback on that. And so like each year in each competition, it's, ultimately finding the people that need to qualify, but also you're kind of a guinea pig for stuff that we may do at the championship or stuff that we're working on for next year. And now that we have 2 per year, the age group games, the Masters games and Legends, you're going to see stuff that we do continue to cross over a lot. And that's everything from the programming to also experience of the athletes. To dip into Legends Championship 2024, the way we disseminate the information of movements, lists, Zoom calls, athlete briefing, you're going to see that at the age group games, but better, because that was the guinea pig year for that. And it's going to be much better than last year in Birmingham, the check-in process. And everyone is on board at the, CrossFit HQ and then the Legends team. So it's using each competition to get better off each other. And that even goes into the qualifiers. This year was a very simple, I feel like simple tests, easy to get, easy to execute. But people should expect much more complication at the championship. And that's where we'll use the higher complicated stuff there. And it's going to be fun.
Well, and I know that for me, and I think for a lot of athletes that are preparing for the CrossFit Games or when they're preparing for the Legends Championship, there's a certain feel to the tests that you and Bob have historically brought to Masters athletes in-person competitions. And so in preparing for those types of competitions, I study your tests, what you've given us in Legends over the years and what you gave us at the games last year. There's a slightly different feel between last year's games and the tests that we had and then the tests in 2023 and prior to that. Like, CrossFit is CrossFit. A test is a test, but there's just and I don't have the words for it. It's just that if you want to get to know how Joe and Bob program in-person events, study the events that they've done, because there's a feel to them. The tests are well balanced. There's interesting combinations that you'll find. You're like, I see what they're going at here. There's shocking things like 25 handstand push-ups and 10 deadlifts at 315. This is going back to 2020. Like, I remember that workout and thinking, wow, that's such a good test for Masters athletes. 4 rounds of that, by the way, 100 handstand push-ups, 40 deadlifts that were heavy. So I think about those. And as I'm preparing for the games, and especially right now, Josh knows I've been doing a lot of programming for our Boulder athletes preparing for the games. I am studying all of the Legends Championship workouts that you guys have put out, last year's CrossFit Games workouts, and given ourselves a map to this year's games so that we can retest. We can take some of these combinations that you tend to put out there and be ready for whatever you bring to the games this year. And then at the same time, I get to be a part of crafting something with you for Legends this year, which is very exciting. I'm a student of what you produce, and so I'm just really excited to be I'm excited to be a part of that. But but yeah, it's a great little, there's some seasoning that you add to these workouts that's purely Legends oriented. If that makes sense.
Oh, totally. I mean, we take pride in being able to find the find the athlete that is the best at ring muscle ups without doing 60 ring muscle ups. You know, let's find the person that, if crafted the right way, the person that can do this workout, and there's only like 24 total, is going to win the workout if it has 50. Simple movements. I love to figure out a way to make people mess up. A double under. The workout last year, echo bike, chest to bar, double unders. I think you only had to do 150 double unders, right?
Yes, sir.
If you got to the third round. And what I thought was like, people are going to push so hard to get in two. I don't think they're going to be able to do these double unders in round three. And we saw a ton of people. I'm like, holy crap, it worked. You're like, wow, that was cool. And it was only 150 double unders, but it's just the combination of things. And so it's also, there was a lot of like knowing Jason Grubb studied us, our workouts. It's like, cool. How do we bait Jason Grubb? How do we trip him up? Or athletes like himself, or, Justin LaSala, he's great at double unders. How can I make a workout tough on Justin LaSala for double unders? Or how can I make a workout tough for this, that this athlete is really good at? But then it's also factoring in that you do want to put on a show. You want to let people be a spectacle, if you will. Like last year, we had the lift at Legends. Hang cleans, shoulder overhead, had to be unbroken. I knew it was going to be a huge guy workout, and I just wanted to see someone hit 315. And we did it. We saw it in the men's 30 or 35 or 40. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. So it's like, programming stuff that is fun to watch too. I like seeing people walk, 100 feet straight on their hands. How can we put that together? How can we let people, like a Daniel Brandon or, a Noah Olson and these people that, are they going to go unbroken for 20 ring muscle ups? Do you think they'll do it? So it's like kind of putting stuff together that is fun, but you can't do all that stuff, but it's, bouncing the ideas off each other and how to put that together as well, because giving the athletes something to shine in, and also a little punch in the face. Those are both fun to do. So
Absolutely. It's been really cool getting to see behind the scenes for like Jason and how he is putting together programming and the different, just how thoughtful he's been. There's just no better way to say it, but like very intentional, very thoughtful. How does it progress? How do we challenge the athletes in the right way? How do we overload but be safe and smart? There's so many factors to consider. And that's for programming that's going out to a bunch of members that are saying, yeah, I'm going to pay for that because I want that product. I like that product. And then Joe, you're doing this on a different scale and a different platform, and how thoughtful you have been, even just the way that you've expressed kind of your process on this podcast. It's very clear you are thinking deeply about all of the different elements individually and then in combination with one another. And that is really cool. And I think it's cool for people to listen to. And I've heard you speak about stuff just like this in previous competitions and other podcasts. And I'm convinced and I'm confident that this is truly the way that you approach this. And that's really cool. And I hope the folks appreciate all of the considerations that need to be made when you're programming a competition at this level for this number of athletes with this level of intensity. And yeah, that's pretty cool. And I'm grateful that you're at the helm.
Awesome. Thank you. That means a lot. Seriously. It's a fun position to be in. There is stress. There is times that you take a lot of criticism, but like workout one, I don't think there's a lot of fans for workout one in the qualifier. It's rowing and burpees, but it's just a part of it. And I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am and to be able to, call this my full-time job, and so it's done a lot for my family, myself. It's really cool to see the progression and be able to be in a position with, Legends and also with CrossFit and age group games to push push these competitions forward into bigger and better opportunities to grow and to provide more for everyone that's involved with our competitions. It's been really fun. Fortunate for the partnership with Boulder. Very excited for it. And so it makes me excited. It took many years to get here, but it's like finding those people to work with and then really leaning into it and showing like, hey, like I'm here to be your partner. Let's do this together. If this is gonna work and be the best possible, I'm here to make that happen with you. And I hope you guys feel that. And I promise you'll continue to feel that for years to come.
Well, those are pretty good closing words in my book. Joe, Jason, I'm really grateful that you both made time to have this conversation, talk about this news, which I know we're all excited about. If that didn't come through in this discussion, you were not paying attention, but we're clearly pretty excited to all that's to come. Let's go. Team, thanks for checking out the Boulder Athlete Podcast. We are so grateful that you did. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more stories from this great community.